Thank you, Bengal Chamber. I think you have got the right kind of people at this point of time. There is a lot of curiosity about jail insurance. We have two gentlemen, Mayank and Mahesh. Sorry, we have Mayank only for exclusively for the health insurance from the health insurance segment, and we have Bhargav and Mahesh representing jail insurance, which includes health apart from health, motor, marine, home, travel, so on and so forth. But at this point of time, because and we are on this medium because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the focus, too much focus is on health. So let's start with the health insurance segment. I'll start with pure play health insurers here, who is Mayank Aditya Birla Insurance. So can you give us a sense, like there is a lot of questions. I will get into the products, innovations and all. But at this point of time, is it like, are you saddled with claims and because there is no, till recently, I mean, you guys have started coming out with COVID products under different names. We'll get into that later. But till recently, there is no COVID as such. It's been covered by general health. That's what the IRDA norm says. And my understanding in certain states, people are not even getting into hospital or getting hospital beds unless they have insurance cover. And if they are getting into private hospitals, your experience in terms of claim in percentage of your people getting affected by COVID? Is it more hype, more noise? Actual thing is not that bad. Can you give us a sense, Mayank? We'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you, Tamal. You know, I would say that overall, as an industry, the COVID claims are in proportion to the coverage that the industry provides to, the consumers. So, people are covered, through a combination of the government schemes, corporate schemes. Some, of course, some have not bought, and some have bought through the, regular retail schemes. So, the number of claims that we are seeing as a, and what is coming to private insurers is in line with that proportion, firstly. Secondly, of course, in the last few, I would say 7 to 8 weeks, gradually, as the facilities also in the private sector hospital, healthcare side started increasing, the number of claims have definitely, increased. But that is again in line with the fact that the infection rate has also increased. I would not say that there's anything starkingly abnormal about the pattern of claims being lodged with the insurance company so far, and I'm talking looking at the overall industry number and what we received, for which we would of course have many more details. Uh, and Of course, some people are using the government facilities where the cost is being in a way being paid by the public, the government. But I think the leveraging of private facilities is also as much as we would expect. So uh, to your broader question, I think from a consumer perspective, it's not that people are not able to go to private hospitals. I think it's all depending on the the level, the size of the healthcare facility in different states, where the capacity is in any case being increased by respective state governments over a period of time as the infection pattern is emerging. And all health insurance products cover COVID claims. So therefore, any consumer who has a indemnity policy will get and be paid a COVID claim, and there's no way that I think we are not hearing any issue there from whatever I understand.
Okay, Karan. So these are preliminary remarks. We'll ask the same thing to Mahesh from Kotak. Can you tell us? I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's about in India, I think urban area, about 18% people have health insurance cover. In rural, about 14%. But this is outside the coverage of Ayushman Bharat, which is the government scheme. I mean, it just I picked up from the internet. That's the latest number I hear. Yeah, Mahesh, up to you.
Yeah, so I think the Mayank is in a way right that it's proportional to the amount of policies we have done. But the number is increasing. I think India crossed about 1 million cases. We have on record about 52,000 claims which have been reported to the various general insurance companies. Through the GI Council, all of us track the data. So that's a proportion of how much of insurance claims are coming in. Having said that, that number is increasing. because I think as India keeps doubling its rates, and one predicts that maybe in another month, by end of this month, we'll probably be at about 13 lakhs, and hopefully next month will be slightly better. But as the frequency increases and the number of cases per million, which is today at about 700 odd cases, keeps moving, I think the insurance industry will start facing the increase in claims. Though it's still manageable, I would say, but I would definitely say the trend line is April was virtually very little. May it started improving. June is now up to about 50,000. So I think the industry over a period of time will start facing, as the frequency increases, I think our reality in terms of increase in health claims out of COVID is going to be much worse than what it is right now. On the balancing side, what's happening is that people are staying away from hospitals for normal treatments. So to some extent, that has gone down. Today, I don't think anybody would want to go to a hospital unless it's an emergency, because you're afraid of catching COVID in a hospital now. No? So people would like to probably stay away from hospitals. So a lot of the optional surgeries are getting postponed in very many cases. And therefore, that's some amount of a balancing effect. But my prediction is that as the year pans out, around July, August, September, I think it will start getting to a sense of normalcy, where pre-COVID and post-COVID, I don't think the claim situation will be any different. We are seeing that in motor as well, though probably that's not the topic today. I think already in June, we are seeing almost 80-90% of pre-COVID levels reaching. So I guess insurance companies had a run of about 1 or 2 months where it was lower. But to my mind, that's fleeting, and we'll all catch up with the pre-COVID numbers as far as claims goes. No?
Yeah, typically, I think March is the best month for the life insurance and April for non-life, right? And this time, both the months have been troubled month for the insurance segment. Let's ask Bhargav his preliminary remarks. What do you see the COVID scenario for the health insurance segment? We'll come to the other parts, motor and travel, others also as well.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah. So Mayank and Mahesh have given the overview. Let me just add to some of the points that they've mentioned. Generally, I think the key point that Mahesh is making is a very, very important point, that we are seeing very rapid increase in the numbers. In the first 2-3 months, we were not seeing very large numbers, but the numbers, particularly for COVID, is really increasing rapidly. In terms of the non-COVID claims, just to give a color to what Mahesh said, the elective surgery. So there are 3 types of surgeries that are reasons why people end up in hospitals, right? Some kind of an emergency where you suddenly, you need to rush to a hospital. That will anyway happen. The second is maybe medical management cases, mild, fever or something. We go to a doctor and you get hospitalized. Those are going away. No one is going there. Third is, kind of elective in the sense that you can plan surgery. So, you have a knee replacement surgeries. You won't do it now. But those will come back later to support the point that Mahesh was making, and these claims will come back later. Another point that I'll make is that if you look at all the health insurance products in the market, just again for the understanding of the audience here, just a point to explain. There are 2 types of health insurance products for retail customers in general. One are the critical illness products, which we call them as fixed benefit policies. So you buy a cancer care policy. So those are specific to a particular disease. In those policies, COVID will not get covered because that was not the policy that you bought. However, a typical Mediclaim policy, indemnity policy as we call it, Mayank was explaining the indemnity policy. All indemnity policies pay for anything that happens to you in terms of disease for which you need a hospitalization. So COVID is not an exclusion. COVID is not an exclusion. COVID will get paid for that. In that policy.
No, I'm just intruding. Can you explain to our audience in a layperson, de-jargonize it, what is an indemnity policy?
So indemnity, as the word means, is basically to indemnify the customer from the costs that they incur. When I say the critical illness or a fixed benefit plan, it is a plan where it is for a specific critical illness. As I said, as I gave the example, it's for a cancer treatment, and it says that if you get cancer, I will pay you, let's say, 10 lakh rupees. So it's a fixed benefit of 10 lakhs. Indemnity policy is a hospitalization policy where the cost of hospitalization is indemnified under the policy. Now, you can get hospitalized for a fever, to a heart attack, to COVID. It doesn't matter. You'll get that claim will be paid. So IRDA clarified this because there was some confusion in the minds of customers, but it was always covered in our opinion.
So, so essentially what you are saying, if I have an indemnity policy, then I am covered by COVID. But if
Yes.
I have a policy for related to some particular illness like cancer or something else, then I will not be covered by COVID.
Yes,
right?
I just wanted to clarify for the audience.
Yeah, yeah. Please.
One more small point, Tamal.
Yeah,
2 days
please,
back, I think
please.
IRDA has clarified one more. I think earlier most of us had covers which covered hospitalization expenses, where only if the treatment was undertaken in a hospital, the Mediclaim policy kicked in. Of course, there were add-ons for domiciliary cover, etc. But most of us were covering in the basic product only hospitalization expenses. IRDA yesterday has sent a circular saying that makeshift centers which are operated by the government will also need to be covered. So that also puts the customer at a slightly better position now, because even if he's not hospitalized in a hospital, but in a makeshift center, if the government is providing treatment, then also the customers become eligible for claim. It's a recent circular by IRDA as of yesterday or day before, I think.
Thanks, Mahesh. So it's not only
Kamalda, can I just add one more point? I think to the point that Bhargav made, you know, and just to clarify, indemnity policies form about 95% of health insurance business in India. Okay. So 95% of business, policyholders in that sense will actually, get. So the critical illness, whilst it's a big opportunity, forms just about 5-7% of this. Or even less maybe of the business today.
Thanks, Mayank. So, what three of you are saying is this: it only covers the indemnity policy. But if we say that only covers, it's actually not representing the real scenario, because 95% of the health insurance, the guys who have opted for insurance, they are covered by the indemnity policy, right? That's what you are saying. And you are, what Mahesh has pointed out is this: not only in established hospitals, even the makeshift health centers where the government is put up, where somebody is treated, that gentleman or the lady can also can avail of the benefit of the insurance. Now tell us, Mahesh, since you said that if somebody gets a COVID and prefers to get treated at home, then how does it work? Does he or she get the cover?
No. So as I said, if he's taken a specific COVID product, then we need to examine the product for its features and see whether the product provides for domiciliary cover.
No, under the indemnity policy, no.
Normally, no, unless it's a specific add-on the customer is taken. No.
Okay. So Tamal, so just to, in fact, I was about to talk about this aspect. So, as Mahesh explains, this is the standard in the industry. You need to be hospitalized a 24-hour, over 24 hours, then only these treatments are paid for. I think some of us, so we actually in ICICI Lombard, we took an initiative about 3 weeks back, where we actually have now announced even home-based care on a cashless basis. And this is not just for COVID treatment. We've said even our non-COVID patients, for certain typical types of things that can be handled at home, you don't need to rush to a hospital. We've gone to regulator and got a specific approval for under our policy. I mean, I guess every company can get this approval, but we've given this to our customers to pay for even home-based care. The reason why we've done that is we all understand that at this point in time, customers who are not COVID positive don't necessarily want to go to the hospital. And even for COVID patients, there are cases where you can get home-based treatment and that should be okay.
Okay.
So we've kind of launched that. This is not the norm, but given the current situation, we've launched this about 3 weeks back for all our indemnity customers.
Oh, Bhargav, so this is excellent news. I think this is what we are looking for in this discussion, so that people get the benefit. So tell me, this is not a new product. It is a new facility you are extending to your existing customers. So it's not that tomorrow, it's not that 3 weeks back you had come out with this a new product where home care also treated. You are saying, no, you are my existing customer. This is not a time to go to hospital for general health issues and all, because you are scared of COVID, and hospitals also not in a position to treat you well. So get treated at home, but get our cover. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, and I'm just, absolutely, you're correct. For specific treatment, so it's on a cashless mode, and we have partnership with some home care based service providers who will provide the care to you. It's not as if you can, take some medicine and send me the bill. It has to be based on a cashless method.
Excellent. So Mahesh and Mayank, can you tell us also, is there anything that you guys are doing in the same way for the benefit of the consumers? or
Well,
any
all of
plan
us are
to do?
launching COVID-specific products.
Yeah.
So that's something that all of us are launching.
No,
And that
we'll come to that. We'll come to that.
contains
I'm
these
just saying
features.
for the existing customers, for the existing who have not got any specific product, who are general indemnity cover or bought, etc. For them, this kind of home care and other things can be taken care of. Is there any thinking on those lines?
Well, we have products which provide those add-ons. So those
Okay.
customers who have taken those add-ons will obviously benefit. But
Okay.
customers who have not taken the add-ons, we are examining, and we might have to
Okay.
look at how
Okay.
the market is absorbing that and maybe change our products. No?
Sure. Mayank, would you
Yeah,
like to say anything?
Yeah. So in our existing products, we already had the feature that, you know, if the customer reaches out for home care, I mean, we have the you know, option. We are
Okay.
examining to make it you know, completely open for all you know, conditions. But even all our existing products have the facility of home care if the customer reaches out in advance and seeks an approval from us. So you know, and we are seeing now that, you know, given the fact that this whole you know, pandemic is, you know, extending much beyond what we originally thought, and there will be cases where consumers actually you know, may find it very difficult to go to the hospital. And the fact is, if that treatment is deferred, it can become even more costly in the time ahead. So there is
Yeah.
definitely a, you know, opportunity to review, you know,
Yeah.
and make this more wholesome, as a, you know, as you know, we were discussing, to provide this benefit to larger customers.
Yeah, thanks. So let's get into this now. Get into specific to COVID. Mahesh will start with you. Mayank will start with you. What are the new products now you guys are thinking? Because this the everybody wants to know that will there be a specific I mean, there have been IRDA has given a nod for certain things and all. So is there, I mean, this is the time, because this every challenge is an opportunity, and that's the impression people are getting, that for the business, for the as a business proposition for the insurance segment, this is an actually big opportunity to deepen the you know, the penetration of insurance through by being innovative. So can you give us a sense during this challenging time, is there any new product? Because IRDA also has the sandbox approach where you can go and, you know, start with the regulator's approval. Can you give us a sense which the audience would get to know the newer things? All three
Yeah.
of you, starting with you.
Yeah, so you know, first is, of course, as we just heard some of my colleagues say, that, you know, the COVID specific offerings. So
Yeah.
we've got a COVID product which we launched some time back, which was
Okay,
more
tell us a little bit of more so that people
yeah.
would know.
So the idea, and then we launched the specific product that RAD has also mentioned. The idea about COVID product is two, that for it covers COVID treatment only, and it is designed for COVID, which means that in COVID situation, as we heard, that there is a cost of testing, there is a, you know, there could be home treatment, you know, because about 80% of the COVID, you know, infected people actually need not go to the hospital. And with the,
Yes.
you know, shortage of facility in the hospital, it is advisable that if you have a, you know, home where you can get yourself isolated, then please do it, because it makes much more sense. So that treatment is covered in the COVID you know, product specifically, because it's part of it. And so, you know, services around this is, so it is designed for COVID. And what RDA has now prescribed as a standard product has a 3 months, 6 months, 9 months option. And the way, as I see it, is that, you know, this product is good for two category of customers. One is as an add-on facility, or as add-on sum assured to, you know, what you already have as a base health insurance. So let's say you have a 5 lakh health insurance, and you are, you know, you're concerned that the cost of COVID might go up to, you know, 8, 10, 15 lakh, as we are seeing in some cases. So take another, let's say, 5 lakh COVID cover, so that you get, you know, overall 10 lakh coverage. The other segment that it is relevant to is where who don't have any health insurance, who are contemplating whether I should take health insurance. And it's a good product to take, you know, right now, because the cost will be much lower, because it's a COVID specific. And in, you know, once you have experienced the product, you can always, our sense is that they will definitely like to continue into and, you know, move into the, you know, base larger, you know, health insurance product. So it's a good strategy to, you know, enter health insurance for customers who don't have, and for insurers to kind of get customers into insurance through this product. So I think
Well,
this COVID specific, and of course there are many other opportunities, Tamalda, like, you know, which are emerging now, which, because the health awareness has increased, and there are many other platforms where customers are already kind of engaging with different, you know, digital partners. So I think there are products which can be created specifically contextualized to those kind of interactions that customers are having on those platforms. So you see platforms like Paytms of the world, are now selling health insurance, Amazons and or Flipkarts,
Yeah.
etc. So you can create, and IRT has given us the flexibility to create short term, create, through the sandbox route, other benefits. I think it's an opportunity for the sector to experiment and come up with products relevant for newer category of customers on newer distribution platforms.
Sure. So yeah, in fact, that's the popular belief is this is the inflection point, because COVID product could be 1 year or 2 year in terms of longevity. After that, hopefully, world will be free from that. But people can actually, newer people can get introduced. So when you said it's relatively cheap, can you tell us how cheap is this? And then I'll get to Bhargav, his take on the new COVID products. Right? How cheap is that?
So the COVID product, for example, ranges from 500 rupee. Of course, the price range is fairly wide. If you see, the price, then
Just give us a sense in terms of for
so
the audience.
so the 3, 6, 9 months products can range from 500 onwards. So it's a fairly cheap product for
Okay.
so coverage. So and of course the longer the tenure of the coverage, it can the price.
And older the person, the higher the price.
Yeah,
right?
the price will
If
of
the
course
person has
be slightly higher.
comorbidity and other ailments. Yeah. Bhargav, tell us, it's a COVID scenario. What are the new innovations that?
So, I guess the COVID product Mayank has already explained, so let me not take more time on that. I think the approach that we are taking is that, again, given the current environment, how do we help customers in the current context, apart from this product? So one I talked about in terms of home-based healthcare. The second is telehealth. Again, I'm sure quite a few companies must be trying to do this, but one of the things that we realized was that if you look at traditional health insurance in India, we typically, as I said, cover big ticket critical illnesses, the benefit product that I talked about, or hospitalization. As a rule, as an industry, we don't cover small, outpatient care cost. You want to go to a hospital, for just a, stomach ache, and a doctor gives you some prescription medicine, and you go, take that, and you're okay. That's not covered in our policy. So that's something that we believe is a large opportunity. It's an important aspect to cover from a customer's perspective. Now, this is something that we had launched it last year, not on a retail basis, but on a B2B basis, as in to our corporate customers, our distribution partners, because individually selling these small ticket policies at times is not, it's prohibitive in terms of cost. So we've launched it in a B2B format. Now there we have a digital solution where you can get health consulting on phone. Now in this period we opened it up for our normal retail customers as well. Again, given the current context, I mean, it's not a paid. It was not a paid feature that people had paid for, but we opened it up. We've seen almost 7-8x increase in those numbers. I mean, if you're thinking about innovation or changes that has going, and these are permanent changes, we believe that in the long term, people will shift away from unnecessary hospitalization into a lot more of digital health. And at least we believe it's good for people, it's good for patients. At the end of the day, going to a hospital means one, increased cost, but the risk of hospital-linked infections. So if there are certain treatments that you can get at the safety of your home, it is better for you. It is also better for us as an insurance company because the cost is relatively lower. So we see it as a win-win where we and the customers are together. So this is the direction that we believe. I think some of these innovations will stay for the future, not just for the current context. This is just one example.
Okay. Mahesh?
Yeah, so I think just before the COVID, you spoke about Sandbox. We were probably one of the few companies to actually start experimenting with wearables on Sandbox. So we tied up with another company in India, Goki, to offer wearables. So we are doing up to 2 kinds of pilots on Sandbox for wearables. First and foremost, we identified all our customers with a higher BMI index, existing customers. So we looked at them and our data all said that, look, your customers with higher BMI tend to have a slightly higher frequency and higher claims compared to customers with lower BMI. He's okay otherwise, he doesn't have any specific ailment. But over a period of time, we realized that higher BMI indicates that his probable chances of getting hospitalized or having an ailment is far higher than others. So if we can keep this gentleman or lady healthy by reducing her BMI or take the BMI to acceptable levels, we believe we will keep them healthy And keeping customers healthy is probably the best, smartest thing an insurance company can do. No, we should not come here at the claim stage. We should take you and keep you healthy. So we started distributing these wearables where we help the customer monitor his health, help him monitor his exercises, his daily routines, nutrition, etc., so that he's able to bring his BMI under control. So that's a pilot we started. Unfortunately, early days, and lockdown did bring some amount of lack of ability to push through this whole thing, because courier agencies were not available to even courier the wearable, right? But nevertheless, that's something that we are going after. The second is to offer new customers on this platform, where we offer a customer by giving him wearables as part of the insurance policy, and then engage with him. This builds two things. One is engagement with the customer. Otherwise, insurance companies are not known to be like banks, which build tremendous engagement with their customer. We probably take a premium, and then unfortunately the customer has a claim, we go and stand in front of him and help him, So that's not a great model from a financial services perspective. So to build engagement, we thought this is a better way, and health is a very good topic to build engagement with customers. So we have started another sandbox initiative where we are distributing wearables to customers along with the new policy that they acquire. And these two initiatives, I think, will over a period of time help us build engagement, collect data, understand our customers' health better, and keep them healthy, which is what is the most important objective for all of us.
Yeah, Mahesh, I'm just curious to know, as a consumer, I'm asking you, when you are giving me the wearables, I would like to believe it's like a watch I wear, right? So
that's right.
Now, do you load the cost of it into the policy? That's my question one. And second is, how do you monitor it? Like, would your guy come once a month to check and they get the record, or is it transmitted through my mobile phone and you are accessing this?
Yeah. So let me address the price question first. Price in the sandbox, we are absorbing the price. Obviously, it goes into the costing of the product. And I believe over a period of time, it will more than pay for itself. So we are not worried about absorbing the cost or keeping the cost with us. So that's number one question. Number two, everything is digital on this, Tamal. We do not really have to send anybody home. In fact, the devices are getting more and more sophisticated. I just saw a device 2 days back, which includes oximeter, which includes temperature checks. It includes, apart from the normal traditional heart rate and number of steps, etc., which many of us are used to in our Fitbits, right? Yeah. These are slightly advanced devices which are able to do much more than what even normal watches do. But everything is on a digital platform. There is a digital app which the customer downloads, and there is a synchronization which happens from the device into the app. And the app is collecting all the data and funneling back to our partners. And we are working with the partners in terms of using the data to understand and monitor customers. So everything is digital.
There's no noise on your infringement into privacy?
Well, obviously, I've taken permission from you, Tamal. When you signed up for the product, I've taken permission from you. So there is no infringement, right? Okay. And let me put it this way. This we are doing to help you improve your health, So customers don't have to worry about whether it will affect their claims, If you have done the right thing, it will not affect your claims. Of course, if you have hidden a lot of morbidities and you have taken an insurance policy, you better worry anyway. Without this device. Right?
Okay.
This doesn't in any way increase the size of the problem for the customer.
Okay, let's shift focus from health to something else. Both Mahesh and Bhargav, give us a sense, because you two are in the general insurance where health is a part of it. There's motor, there is two-wheeler, there is home insurance and travel, so on and so forth. Can you give us a sense? Is a reflection of your business where the economy is? Like, is July better than June? Was June better than May? Was May better than April? Where do we see in terms of car insurance, auto insurance, motor insurance, travel, tourism? Because given a sense that so much of pessimism and there is so much of confusion, anecdotally we hear that things are getting better, but when you look at the numbers, probably not. And there's so many conflicting opinions. But you have a pulse. Can you give us a sense?
Yeah. So let me pick up certain segments, and maybe you'll get a sense of what's happening. At least our sense of what's happening in the economy out of those segments.
Give us a sense of the economy through your.
So the first point to answer your question, yes, we are seeing month-on-month improvement. May was much better than April. June was much better than May. And in fact, for the month of June, at least for ICICI Lombard.
Hello.
I think lost Bhargav, I think.
Yeah. In that case, Mahesh, why don't you? Bhargav will join us.
Yeah. So no, I think you're very this thing that you have both Bhargav and me. Bhargav is the largest player, and we are among the emerging
but
players.
still, yeah.
So you'll get Bhargav.
I got
Yeah, he's back.
disconnected. Can you hear me?
You got it back.
Yeah. So I was saying that in motor, clearly the first month new sales became zero in the month of April. That is, if today in June it is back in certain segments like tractor, as we know, is actually a positive. But other segments, new sales still are down. But for us, the auto insurance numbers have picked up because some of the people who did not renew policies in April and May have started renewing policies. Mahesh talked about the claims numbers. We have seen claims frequencies go up to 70, 80, in fact slightly higher than 80 also in certain areas of COVID numbers. So that also tells us that people are much more mobile. And we are definitely seeing non-big city, non-metro numbers to be much better. We have distribution up to the villages, using certain distribution models. We are seeing good numbers. In fact, our smallest offices are growing much faster than the big cities. So, I think all of us get kind of a bit overawed by the experience that personally we are having in our big cities. But if you go into the rest of India, I think there is some improvement that we are seeing. B2B, which is a corporate business, this year has been very positive for the industry. Fire policies have grown at about 40% in the first quarter for the industry because of maybe some rate increases, etc., not because of underlying economic activity. But overall, for the insurance industry, things are looking much better in June than what it was in April.
Okay, Mahesh?
Yeah. So I think, as I said, you've got both the sides of the coin, the largest player and an emerging player like us. So you'll get both perspectives. Bhargav being the largest spoke about his. For us, honestly, April was difficult because we were trying to gauge the situation and find out what's happening because it hit us very, very suddenly in terms of work from home, and enabling work from home for back office is different from enabling work from home for front office. So we went through a little bit of trying to figure out. Plus our channel partners were trying to figure out as well. But for the month of May, April we were down 19% compared to same period last year. May we were up 17%, and June we were up 50% compared to same period last year. So we have recorded about 18.5% growth for the Q1. And July is looking as good as June for us. We're trying to see if we can do better it. But yes, month on month things are improving. For us, the motor business, we have largely been away from OEM business. Because we didn't have too much of a seat at the table in some of the OEMs. Secondly, we are happy we didn't have, because OEM is a business where you do more, it strains you a lot. So in a way, we are happy to be playing along that game rather than pushing it hard. So we have actually seen also our motor business growing slightly. So it's not degrown for us. More to do with the choice of markets and choice of business that we do. But we are seeing a phenomenal increase in health. Health insurance for us, health and PA put together, we are up about 120%. Of course, I must say our base is small, but but health is improving. No?
Do you see the difference between rural India and urban India? What Bhargav had said, that improvement recovery is faster in rural than in urban?
Well, on health, I don't think there is any bifurcation that way. Okay. I think today rural India, in fact, urban India is more aware of it because the morbidity in urban India is much more. So I think today health insurance is a good space to be in because customers are worried about health. And thanks to massive digitization all of us have worked on, today you can buy a health insurance policy the way you buy an airline ticket. You fill up some forms and you fill up some conditions, and then you tick some boxes and make the payment, and the policy is delivered instantaneously in the same session. So I think that's helped a lot. So health, I wouldn't say there's any increase, any decrease whatsoever, or any differentiation. Motor may, yes, as Bhargav said, two-wheelers, Bharat, which is specifically bouncing back faster, is seeing a better demand. On the metro side, I think there is strain because new cars are also not getting sold because dealerships are shut, and there is also a scramble for premium in terms of competition for the balance left. So that also puts a lot of strain, and you've got to decide what you want to do. One small point on claims: while the number of claims is probably slightly pre-COVID, the severity is going up, and my understanding is that, or my surmise is that the roads are more empty. So people are driving at a faster pace. Otherwise, in Bombay, you can't get killed on Bombay roads at 10:30 in the morning. You're traveling at 30 kilometers per hour. There's no chance that you will die or you'll have a bad accident. But today, the same road, the guy is clipping at 70, 80, 90. And if he has an accident, the severity tends to go up. So in value terms, I think it's catching up much faster.
Okay. Now the most important part is this, the how the infrastructure, the ecosystem is changing. I mean the digitalization. Because insurance is a push product. Okay, here you have need continuous human interaction. That's what we believe, that you convince me to take, so on and so forth. But now in the COVID world, even otherwise, the digitalization is really big. So can you give us a sense? Probably we'll start with Mayank. What is the role of how fast digitalization is getting into this business, and the way forward? Can you tell us
You're
the
mute,
data
Tamalda.
analytics? Yeah.
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 Yeah. So like all other.
Yeah.
Can we
You're
come in?
audible. Yes.
Yeah. So like all other businesses, there's insurance business has to be ready to adopt digital, and I think there's a lot of work that has happened across the entire value chain in the industry. I mean, if I can talk about our own case,
Yeah.
uh, the from acquisition of customer to onboarding to servicing to claims processing and to, most importantly, engagement, I think the
Yeah.
entire life cycle of customer today is covered through the digital intervention. For example, even in pre-COVID times, about 92% of our business used to be paperless on digital platforms, so there was no paper flowing in. And of course, during the COVID time, it has gone to close to like 99.5%. There's no paper based, because even underwriting is being done using video and tele-MER. So from an onboarding perspective, because it is being done digitally, so as Mahesh also said earlier, the entire process will be, the data is filled up, the customer just gives consent through the digital route, through, the multiple mechanisms like OTP, etc. And the document goes into his WhatsApp account. So, it's
Yeah.
digital. On us, servicing, of course, self-servicing, we do all kind of servicing on digital platform. You can come to our web app. Even WhatsApp for servicing is being used very extensively. In fact, because people use WhatsApp more than any other medium of digital interaction today, we find that WhatsApp adoption is extremely high. Virtually all kind of servicing is being done in our case, including bot on WhatsApp. So even the bot can service instead of a human being there, right? Claims, of course, is being done. A lot is happening. I think that's one area where more can be done in terms of integration between the provider and the payer. But I think a journey has started, and there again in COVID times, like everything is happening without paper, because everything is being done through data movement between the payer and provider, or scanned images, etc., and it is being processed. But that's one area where more can be done. I think the biggest area that we have seen digital give us a scale advantage is on the engagement side, and we heard Mahesh talk about it. So when we launched our business, we had a very clear thing that we will have active engagement with customers for reasons other than claims payment also. So our business, for example, our customers are incentivized for staying healthy. So they can use their their steps can be tracked through their smartphone. They can use wearables, etc. It's an open architecture environment, and we see about 20 odd percent of customers actively engaging, and this is all being done digitally, by the way, through the app process. And digital is the only way, Kamalda, that I think we can have scale, whether in acquisition, servicing, engagement. You can't have physical as the route to create scale. So I think there's a lot that is already happened. I think this current environment has opened up the whole possibility. For example, who would have thought that you will hire agents completely digitally, right? The whole hiring process is digital. You are doing Zoom business
Yeah.
opportunity presentation. They're expressing interest, they're filling up forms digitally. The license is going to them digitally, if they are existing advisors, and this is all happening digitally. Training is happening digitally in large numbers. You can do segmented best trainer in the country training, multiple, hundreds of trainees across the country, vis-a-vis, let's say, in a physical environment, 20 in a room or 30 in a room. I think digital is changing the whole landscape, and I think the world of possibility is so large that we are pretty excited on what it can do to the industry moving forward.
Yeah, Mahesh, tell us, digitalization is the way that you are approaching, and the ecosystem is changing. How the customer behavior is changing, Mahesh?
Well, I think the customer adoption has been phenomenal because I think the TINA factor has really helped all of us, because when there is another option, customers then don't tend to probably adopt it, or even your own employees don't adopt to it faster. But when there is no other alternative, people, I think, migrate very fast. So I think that's what has happened. I think the exponential growth in digital channels in terms of payments. What really gives us gratification for us is our agency channel, which normally is used to a mix of checks and digital payments. Today, that's the digital payments is about 98, 99%, in the last 2-3 months. So I think when there is no other alternative, people automatically migrate. And we only hope that the habits don't change and we are able to hold them there and they see the benefit of this, and this becomes BAU rather than a COVID event, and it goes back to suboptimal levels post-COVID. That's number one. Number two, Mayank spoke a lot about digital in terms of acquisition, claims, etc. I'm sure Bhargav will talk about AI, etc., which they have been using. I'm looking at it apart from those. I think the structure of the GI business is such that it's a very low operating leverage business. We're a high variable cost business with about 75%, 70 to 75% going in claims, another 10 to 15% depending on the company, or even 20% in acquisition cost. So for us, the operating leverage or contribution to fixed expenses is extremely low. With increasingly debt markets seeing slowing down of returns, today the average 10-year return is about 6.1, 6.2, pick your number, right?
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of things on the cost side which we can really use now, because I've realized in the last 3 months, I was thinking, why the hell I didn't run a company like this before, right? Today I have no rental costs I can really slash. My people are happy at home. Maybe, some of them are stressed because they do BJP, Bartan Jadu Pocha, but otherwise they're able to deliver at work, keep ourselves happy. So what the hell have we built all these costs for, right? Can we have a relook at these costs? Can we really have a new normal where we are able to shave off 4-5% of our cost? And in our business, it's extremely important because we are a high variable cost business. So to earn that 1% contribution on my fixed cost, I have to sweat a lot and put a lot of money at risk in terms of issuing an insurance premium and hoping that claims ratio will be acceptable and I make a margin, right? So I can really rework the mathematics in terms of cost, which will benefit customers as well because our premiums can go down. So I think that's one area I think the insurance industry can learn now from what has happened in the last 3 months. Courier cost, telecom cost.
Correct.
We used to have these offsites and great strategy sessions where we go to a place. All this is completely now, hell, we are not doing that and we are still growing, right? So I think questioning all of these things will probably bring in more efficiency, and that will translate to better metrics across the board.
Sure. Bhargav, tell us, it's a very interesting thing what Mahesh has said, that actually the new ecosystem, you are bringing down the cost, you are embracing digitalization in a big way. Bhargav, tell us, like in banks, we always find, used to hear about fintech, and now people, Amazon and all TechFin, they are invading into banking territory. They're actually, banks are reinventing themselves. So in the insurance space, we have the insurance tech again. It's essentially how the technology is changing the profile of the industry. So Bhargav, ICICI Lombard is pretty advanced in terms of technology, in artificial intelligence and all. Can you give us a sense how the technology landscape is changing? I'm sure this COVID, the new normal, is giving it a big push.
Yeah. No, I think, great point, Tamal. And I'll just, before I jump into that, I'll build on, one or two points that Mayank and Mahesh made. Again, what I'm saying is absolutely relevant for most companies if you have to survive and really do well in the future. All of us have to do all of the things that you're talking about. But just to pick on what Mahesh said in terms of the new way of working, this is, in my opinion, one of these seminal moments. If you go back in the last 100 years of history, there's been a few events that have changed societies, right? So if you think about it, World War II changed the entire, the work culture where women started working. Because when men went to, war and women started working, and that continued. I think this is one such huge seminal event, not just for insurance industry, but generally for corporates, where the way we work will be completely transformed. And I think companies which are able to leverage this and move ahead will do relatively better than the others. So exactly as Mahesh is saying, I think we are also looking at how do we make this a new normal even when things open up. There are, of course, some challenges. Infrastructural, cultural, in terms of engagement, all of that, which we have to sort out. But, structurally and fundamentally, I think this is going to be a big transformative, event in terms of how we work. So work from home and, remote working, flexible working. And actually, if you think about it, why do you need to hire someone in Bombay when the same work can be done by someone in Ajmer, that girl is happy because she wants to stay in Ajmer. You don't have to travel to Bombay, and you can get a lot more, in a sense, flattening of the organization and democratization because of this change. I think it's a big one. The point that Mahesh mentioned. I think coming back to the question that you raised, and I will use the corporate sector. I mean, we are in the Chamber of Commerce. You've talked about retail, motor, health. I'll use what you asked on the corporate side, and I'll maybe touch a bit on the AI piece at the end because you asked me that question on retail. But on the corporate side, the way we believe insurance can really play a role. What is the role of insurance? It's not just about claim payment, right? It is, in our opinion, about really making risk lower for customers. Mahesh said for health, if I can keep you healthy, it's good for you, it's good for us. What does it mean? It means that I am reducing the health risk for you. The same story is true for corporates. If you can use technology and anything else to understand why there is a claim, and you can reduce that risk, that's a very strong proposition and value proposition that you're creating for corporates. And today, insurtech, solutions, other technology solutions, insurtech companies, technology solutions that we are seeing can do that. I'll give you a couple of examples. We've been on this journey for about 5-6 years now. Today, in factories, you have a fire hydrant system. You don't even know whether the water pressure is at the level. So if there's a fire, you think you've got invested in a very good fire hydrant, fire protection system, but the water pressure is low. You can solve that problem by having an IoT inside the system, right? And it sends you a message whenever the pressure comes down. So these are solutions that we actually have in the market, and we're giving it to some of our customers. The obvious ones in terms of controlling marine transit losses, again using sensors and IoT, very obvious. We have a solution where we can actually predict a potential spike. And usually you see fires are largely triggered by spikes in power surge, etc. in factories, and you can predict that again using technology. So, and this is stuff that we've done ourselves. We've done in partnership with insurtech or technology startup companies, where we've kind of come together and found these solutions. So the opportunity to change the entire paradigm of what value proposition we are providing to customers is huge. And this is not just COVID. This is the entire movement that we've seen, over the last maybe 10-15 years. And it's not just digital only. It's about new forms of technology. So coming back to the last point that you asked about AI, I think that is the way to go. I think some of us who have been here for a few years, we've had built data over years. We have some advantage in using that data to build good engines. So for example, for motor insurance, motor claims, why do I need to send a surveyor for small ticket claims? On my app, you can actually point on the damage. You can figure out the damage and offer you a value. And there's a AI which is basically looked at images in the past and figure out that this is the amount of damage this is the type of damage and this is the extent of loss. And it will tell you that I'll give you 5,000 rupees. Are you okay? Click yes. I'll send the money to your account. Now we are not fully there, but we are almost reaching that point. Similarly for health, typically when you go to a hospital, the hospital will send you there's a TPA desk. He will send some papers back to the insurance company. There's some doctors will look at it. It will take some time. Good companies do it in 1 hour. Some companies take 3-4 hours. You don't need all of that. I mean, we today have an AI engine which looks at the case paper, converts it into a digital document, pumps it into an engine, which figures out whether this claim is admissible or not, and gives the approval in a few seconds actually. We have not been able to do it for all types of hospital health policies, because there's certain again it's a learning journey. You have to keep training the system for more and more diseases. But that's a journey that we are taking, and that's a journey that I think most companies will be forced to take in due course. So I think the transformative power of technology is just huge. COVID is just one aspect of it. COVID, in the sense that we are kind of forced to work from home, and the video commerce or these kind of web platforms that we are using today, which is kind of exploded. But there is much more to this transition that is happening because of technology.
Tamal, one small point, Tamal. I think we are having this conversation interestingly in the week which Lemonade has actually done its IPO in the US. It's just a $67.3 million revenue company, probably equal to what we will be or we are, right? And the valuation is 3.8 billion, right?
Yeah.
So that's the power of what investors believe in. I don't know whether the company will be profitable. I'm not committing on that. But I think the valuation at least has been huge. The company, in fact, doubled its losses last year from 58 million to 108 million. And the revenue went up only by about 3 times. No, but yeah, the valuation is 3.8 billion. And they seem to be doing exactly what Bhargav was talking about. They have made a huge story about it. And they're only in 2 segments, rent owners and home insurance. They probably got into pet insurance this week, or last week. So I think that's probably the biggest poster boy for what InsurTech and FinTech can do from a valuation perspective and investor interest perspective.
Yeah, I will take a few questions, but before that, just talking about data, can you tell, I'll ask, you can start with Mahesh, this thing and all, just 1 minute each. Like in banks, we have seen, multiple, right from Reserve Bank of India's Quilik data, which get the real-time data from the banks, what's happening. Then you have the credit bureaus and everything is, once I'm looking for a bank, loan, they know what's my number. It's 700 or 800. Accordingly, I can get a home loan at 6.75 or 7.1 or etc. But in insurance, what exactly is the scenario? Can you give us on the?
Well, Tamal, you have touched a very raw nerve. You have touched a very raw nerve for me and Bhargav.
Yeah.
So this is something all of us have been trying to implement for the last 4 years, 5 years, because all of us come from a banking background, so we pretty much understand what you're saying. Unfortunately, I think the Indian environment, regulators, all of us have been behind the curve. We are perhaps the only industry today in the BFSI space which has not made KYC mandatory. So we stand out like a sore thumb in terms of not really asking for KYC. Today, that's something that is being debated. Lena hai, nahi lena hai, le sakta hai ki nahi. I find it absolutely, to some extent, ridiculous that we should be discussing this. So I think it all starts from there. But lots of data is available. We in the Insurance Council also are working towards seeing whether at least the customer onboarding data and the claims data are funneled into a common system where the industry is able to pull in data and use the data effectively to attack frauds, attack because leakages are a big aspect of our industry. And I told you, we are a operating leverage, very low operating leverage business. So if I can shave off 2, 3%, 4% of my losses only by detecting frauds, I think it will help us a lot. So we are all working towards it in terms of seeing if we can put a bureau where all the information is funneled, and thereafter we are able to look at these patterns before we settle claims. And probably eventually it will move towards an insurance score maybe for a customer, where a person, if he's not claimed at all, he'll have a good insurance score. Somebody who's repeatedly claiming will have a poor insurance score. And somebody who's fraudulently done something will have actually a black score or something like that, which will prevent him from taking policies unless he redeems himself. So these are visionary stuff we want to do, but sadly we still are at the primitive stage in terms of gathering consensus and trying to build this. But hopefully we'll get there someday, Tamal. But the thought process is bang on, and we are all earnestly hoping that it will happen.
Mayank?
Yeah, so
because minus the data architecture, the all talk about digitalization, etc., it becomes a noise. It's basically a selling point, but not much of meaning.
So I would like to talk about a specific data aspect that we are working on, which is the whole health data digitization, right? So we spoke about the fact that how can we make the business more consumer friendly and use it to kind of somehow help consumers deal with their health and improve that. So for that, one of the most important aspect is how do you have health data which is digital. So as insurance companies, we gather so much data right at the inception, through claims, through health checkups, etc. that we do. So for example, in our case, because we have a slightly health first model, about 35-40% of our customers go for a health checkup even after issuing a policy. So question is, are we leveraging this data in a form that can be digitized and used for each customer's health scoring? So we started working on a concept where we can score every customer based on their health score. I mean, what is the health risk that they have, and use that to kind of now go back and talk to each customer at a personal level that this is your health score and this is what we can do. But this can happen only if you have a whole digital framework and you can digitally. So I'm very excited with the fact that even the government is now talking about National Digital Health Mission, electronic health record, etc. So if that also starts supporting the whole process for for the larger health ecosystem, to plug in well to that, and I think it's a future is very bright in terms of how you can leverage data to deal with customers, which is very relevant for that customer. And the whole discussion about engaging making the business more engaging rather than just claims driven, transactional kind of a relationship. So
Well, yeah, Bhargav, last word is yours.
Yeah, so I don't know if the last word, but I was just trying to frame this
Very,
point
very
that has
brief
been.
way. I'm just saying, minus the data architecture, all talk
Yeah.
about digitalization is actually, empty talk. So, how do you synergize both?
So the digitization, the data point that you're making, and I'll just try to frame it in 2 minutes. We are a unique industry where the service that you buy a product from us, which is, let's say, motor insurance or health insurance, but the service is consumed not in our office, but in some other place. So in a
Yes,
hospital for health, in
yes,
a garage for motor, right?
yeah,
So when you look at developing something which is which actually covers the entire customer journey, you need to work with multiple industries. It's not just a insurance industry which has to digitize. I think Mahesh's point is very, very important for fraud control, and that's something as he said, he and I and quite a few of us have been kind of trying to make happen, but it's taking a bit of time. So, but that's only fraud. The issue that Mayank touched upon is how do I make the experience or the journey for the customer seamless across multiple industries, from health insurance to hospitals, for which you need the data architecture that he talked about. Now, all of this will take time. I'm beginning to see some good initiative coming on the health stack, the aspect that Mayank talked about. I'm hopeful that will move reasonably fast. If there's a push, there seems to be a good push from the center, and this is very, very powerful. If you think about it, in India there are no data standards for disease coding. Someone will call a disease X.
yes,
Someone else will call it X again, but mean something else. So there is no disease coding. There is no data standards. There is no electronic health record. So as a patient, you go to a doctor, he will say go to this particular testing center and get me a report. You go for second opinion or for final treatment in the hospital, they will send you to another path lab, because there's no there's no health record. So
yes,
the health
yeah,
record should shift from one provider to another. So that's the point that I'm making. But having said that, while this may take time, this is not the only aspect of digitization for insurance companies. I think Mahesh picked up a very important point. Coming from a bank, I've realized, this has been a long time back, I've been out of a bank for 15 years, but one of the things that we realize is that general insurance works on very, very thin margins. I mean, I sell a two-wheeler policy for 1,000 rupees, on which we pay 700 rupees of claims. So there's a margin of 300 rupees on which to, source, give your policy on paper, and all of that, right? So how do you make it work at those very thin margins? As an industry, on cost side, there is tremendous work the industry has done in terms of digitization and automation. Today, I think everyone talked about their numbers. For us, and including corporate policies, where typically things normally don't get digitized, 96% of the policies, I don't see paper. So I think within our industry, we are actually on digitization for cost way ahead of the other financial services.
okay. There are many questions, but I think most of them are being answered. One is this: IRDA has launched Corona Kavach and Corona Rakshak, which are both indemnity and benefit policies that covers COVID and associated comorbidities with no cappings, including home care treatment. My question is, does claim settlements for standard health indemnity policy also will also indemnify reimburse on actuaries?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, of course,
yeah,
when the
yeah.
existing covers cover, existing policies cover COVID, and said the reimbursement amount will be given subject to the sum assured that the customer has bought.
Okay, I think we have just covered 1 hour, and all the questions are mostly covered. So one last moment, I'll start with you. Tell me, it's a sort of, I'm repeating, it's an inflection point for the industry. You have changed the way you work. There is a lot of focus on digitalization now, and in the process, because of digitalization and non-office work, you are cutting down the cost. And then insurance, instead of a push product, becoming a product where the customers are approaching because of the compulsions. So everything is changing. So if I want each of you to tell 1 minute each about the strategy, how do you strategize the new world of insurance? theoretically, I mean, those who are outsiders and we are taking a look at the industry, we will say that insurance penetration will go up, and there'll be larger insurance market, there'll be more digitalization, there'll be more focus on data, so on and so forth. But each of you, I mean, we are different. One is very small, one is into everywhere but relatively small, and one is very large. So give us a minute each with your strategy to seize the opportunities in the challenging time. We'll start with Mahesh, then come to Mayank, and finally Bhargav. Mahesh, because you're on the screen, yeah.
Yeah, our strategy is simple, Kamal. I think we work on two sides. One is on the revenue side, second is on the cost side. I think on the revenue side, I think the way we look at the next 1 or 2 years is that I think the motor business will continue to be stressful, because I don't think the motor market has gone into a different spin. And unless there are clear, softs or something which breaks in terms of creating demand again, I think that market is going to be continuously stressed. We believe there's a huge opportunity in motor. Of course, we will probably manage manage margins rather than manage volumes. As far as health goes, I think there's a tremendous opportunity out there. And we come from a elite institution, Kotak, with the banking of Kotak Mahindra Bank and bancassurance partners. So I think we have a lot of opportunity out there, given our brand and given our salience in the market, to really leapfrog on health insurance, which we are doing. On the commercial insurance side also, we believe the market is now right in terms of price corrections happening, and the prices are reflective of what is happening in terms of maintaining balance between bottom line and top line. So I think we definitely would like to believe that there is an opportunity out there. But in all this, I think being closer to the customer, using digital, using data, where we are able to provide services and provide a better customer experience would be extremely important, because customers having experienced digital would probably expect better customer experience. And it's a challenge, as Bhargav said, we don't control all elements of our business, but through better networking and through better data flow, I think we need to make sure that customer experiences is dramatically different. Secondly, on the cost side, I think I see the investment market, the bond market and the investment climate to be very challenging. A lot of insurance companies have had to write off a lot of money because they invested in bonds and paper which of inferior quality now. Probably they thought it's great quality at that point of time because AAA was taken as gold standard, right? But then you realize from AAA to default is 10 days, right? So I think a lot of investment pressure is going to be there. We are all used to 10% returns, 8% returns. I think the returns are not going to be more than 6.5%, because Indian economy needs a benign interest environment to kickstart the economy. So I think there is pressure coming there, and the financial leverage of our industry has been huge in terms of net worth to AUM, which has kept a lot of companies afloat, and a lot of sins have been washed in that, let me put it this way, right? Okay. But I think the time has come for us to tighten that. At 6% yields, I think the cost management and risk management becomes that much more important. So I think we need to focus on that. Mere focus on top line is not a road to profitability. I think a balanced approach of risk management, high quality risk management and high quality cost management would also be important. And that's where digital and the work from home and a lot of paradigm shifts which we see will be very useful in shaping the company's future to maximize from some of these developments recently.
Absolutely. Risk management, cost management, and customer is the key. Mayank?
So if I were to put it from a consumer perspective, I see three aspects which actually become very relevant. One is the awareness, relevance, and experience, right? So I think it's that inflection point where awareness is very high. I think there are many other factors which are helping, which is the whole government scheme, which is creating a whole new kind of awareness about insurance and the need for it. The regulatory drive towards standard products, etc., is creating, and of course unfortunately, but because of COVID, there's heightened awareness. So we like to leverage that, and which leads me to the second point, which is how do you make the product and category more relevant for consumers, right? I mean, from a perspective where consumers used to see that why will I like to buy health insurance when I'm only in the getting benefit in the hospital, to make it more relevant where it helps them deal with their own issue of health, increase the category to cover aspects of non-hospitalization healthcare expenditure, because that's a very large part of the overall healthcare expenditure pool. And now especially I'm excited about the whole opportunity for digital health through telemedicine, e-pharmacy, etc., which now can make the whole product much more, I would say, broader and wholesome for consumers. I think that's one big opportunity. How do you create products for different specific segments of customers, which is the younger segment, women, senior citizens, etc. Products which are meant for digital platforms, etc. I think so. There's a whole opportunity to make product more relevant, leveraging the awareness. And I think the last point is, how do you then make sure that the experience that customers get if they buy health insurance is
Yeah.
as they expect, right? So I think digital is definitely helping that. Because now the whole the process of interaction with the customers is now,
Yes.
there's no middleman intermediary in between, which sometimes distorts the experience. So I think all of those aspects, if we do it well, and that's where our focus will be. I clearly see this as a huge inflection point in from a health insurance category perspective.
Thanks. Bhargav, literally last word is yours. And Bhargav, just one, you also touch upon in your 1 minute or 1.5 minute thing about the strategizing. Tell me, as a customer, will this, the way the claim settlement historically has been done, where actually it's not a very healthy, happy experience for the customers. Will it change? Is it being changed?
So I was about to say that
Yeah.
for everyone has some of the elements of the strategy that Mahesh Mayank talked about. But what's the North Star? For us, the North Star is you really try to find relevant risk management solutions for your customer. And as customers evolve, you evolve with the customer. Now, it's easier said than done. And, to be able to deliver that, you have to do a lot of things that, both of them talked about in terms of distribution, product, in terms of technology to keep the cost under control, convenience, be very, very focused on risk management. Conservatism in a balance sheet. Your balance sheet should be fortress, because only then can you pay claims when it comes. So that's if you wanted one word of what we kind of keep thinking about, it's that. But one more item that is kind of becoming more and more relevant is organization culture in the new in a sense a new reality of today. Because the changes that are happening so fast that you have to react very, very fast, to the changes with the environment, with the ecosystem, with customer, behavior, etc. And organization nimbleness and agility is becoming a very, very important aspect for you to stay ahead of the curve. And for us, it's easy to be very agile when you're a very startup, tech company. But for a large scale organization which is highly regulated and has to have certain processes, norms, that balance and is very, very important. So for us, what we kind of spend a lot of time and energy thinking about is organization culture to ensure that we remain nimble and relevant and in touch with the ground reality of the customer. Coming back to your last question on claims, look, at the end of the day, our belief is simple. So the entire organization, one of the things that we do is there's a huge focus on paying genuine claims. Now, one of the challenges that the health insurance industry or general insurance industry has is that there is, this is not a hospitality product. You come to a hotel and give you a wow experience. There are definitely an issue of fraud. And if you don't control the fraud, the honest customers end up paying because the premium goes up. So we have to be also very vigilant about abuse and misuse. And as I said, the consumption of the service happens in a third party's place. And there is a natural incentive there to increase cost because that is revenue for the third party. So we have to be vigilant. So within that constraint, it is absolutely imperative for every company to focus on your claim service and make the experience for your genuine customers outstanding. Only then can you survive in the long term.
Thank you, Bhargav, Mayank, and Mahesh. It's a challenging time, and stay safe. I want one sentence each. You have set out how the new strategies, the new paradigm shift, and how the organization is changing. Tell me how this 4 months of home confinement, thanks to pandemonium, how your life has changed. Mahesh, you are there on the screen.
Well, I'm on
how your life has changed. Anything new that you are learning?
Let me put it this way. I'm on Mahesh 2.0. Right?
Okay.
I'm a new version.
What's that?
I said I'm a new version.
Mahesh what is that new version?
Yeah, new version. I think a lot of my thinking has changed in the last 4 months. I think simplicity, you value simplicity now. You really realize that a lot of things that you were doing because you are part of a herd doesn't make any sense. And I think a simple living, high thinking, don't get caught in the whirlwind of what's happening around you, because that is today not the real world. Today, all of us are happy. I haven't worn a trouser for 4 months and I'm feeling very good about it. Right?
Okay.
I think
Bhargav 2.0, what's that?
I'll just say that I learned new skills. One being I gave my dad a haircut, something I never imagined I'll do. So I guess all of us have to kind of deal with and grapple with some of these things that we never expected to do. And I think what Mahesh is saying is very, very valid. I think it's been a time to reflect and think about what is really truly important for you, as individuals, as human beings.
Okay, you are an insurer. Thank God you are not a banker. Otherwise, haircut would have a different connotation. Yeah, Mayank. Yeah, what is Mayank 2.0?
Yeah, I think the fact that this was an opportunity to explore so much more that one had been thinking about. So I've been thinking about doing this or that, and I think this was an opportunity to explore that and somehow experience them, right? So I also went through that BJP phase that Mahesh mentioned, right? Like all of us. So that was in the absence. But I think the important point.
No, but many have come probably later. They missed the BJP phase. What is the BJP meaning? You just
Yeah, so that I just borrowed from Mahesh, but I realize that it's relevant for me. It's a Bartan Jhadu Pocha phrase that
Okay.
So it's all right. I mean, it's I think I would just repeat what they are. Remove the clutter from your life. I think this was a great opportunity to do that in all aspects. I think that was
okay. Thanks, Mahesh. Thanks, Mahesh. So at a personal level, you do Bartan Jhadu Pocha and remove the clutter from your life. Even as an institution also, do Bartan Jhadu Pocha, like all the minimum thing, all the minutest thing you look after yourself and clear the clutter and cut down the cost. Be innovative.
Tamal, who I work for, no?
Yeah.
Uday Kotak.
Yes, Uday Kotak. Yeah. So it's a clutterless new world, even for insurance. Thank you. Thanks, Mayank. Thanks, Mahesh. Thanks, Bhargav. Thanks, Arnav and everybody else in Bengal Chamber. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Bhargav.
Thank you. Shobai bhalo thakben.
Thanks, Bhargav and Mahesh.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.